I have to be concerned with germ sharing or anything.
It is a hot mic, so don't say
I-
anything
I've
you don't want
learned that
everybody to
lesson.
hear.
That
Yes.
is true. That is true.
On the mic with Mike King Biz here, on the mic with Mike radio program on air ESPN. We're coming to you today from Crossroads Art Center. This is our monthly business summit. Today we're talking with, the subject is economic development. We're here with Jenny Kirby, the owner of Crossroads. Jenny, thank you for having us.
Mike, thank you for letting us host. This is always a fun event.
It is always a fun event. Tell folks about Crossroads Art Center.
So Crossroads is going to be celebrating our 20th anniversary, believe it or not, in May of next year. And we have about 225 artists that we represent and sell their art. And we are open and free admission to the public.
All right, we'd like to thank you for coming in. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Well, no, we came in. This is your house.
That's all right. The house is shared.
That is
It's
your,
house.
so folks, make sure you come across the Art Center. Jenny and the facility here is great, true supporters of the community, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
All
And
right,
I'm excited to hear about the economic development because that helps us sell art. So thank you.
all righty, Mike King here. I got my man Chris Mayfield on the side of Perfusion Consulting. Chris, let's get your speech, your elevator pitch.
Oh, the elevator pitch. Okay. My name is Chris Mayfield. I'm the founder of Perfusion Consulting. We're a leadership and organizational development firm in Richmond. What makes us a little different, is we're a B Corp, which means we donate all of our profits to Virginia nonprofits. So at the end of the year, we do the math. If there's anything left over, we donate it to nonprofits in 3 specific areas: food scarcity, education opportunities, and social and criminal justice reform. So in addition to that, 10% of each of our client engagements immediately goes to the nonprofit of the client's choice. And then we sponsor these events to further small business and bolster the awareness of nonprofits in Virginia and the good work that they do. And we try to celebrate those people that are out there working hard every day and often don't get much recognition. So that's kind of what we do. That's our DNA. We kind of give it away, but because it takes money to change the world, we try to run an aggressive referral program with the folks that think like we do, that are there to support their community and are out there doing good work. So that's how we spend our time. That's how we support our community. And thank you all for coming this morning. Economic development is kind of misunderstood. I think a lot of folks don't really know what has to happen for business to show up in their community, what has to happen, and how does that affect my tax rate, all those things. So I'm looking forward to the conversation this morning. Thank you.
All righty, so Chris Mayfield and I, we do this on a monthly basis. This is the monthly business summit. Today we're talking about economic development. So we have friends of the program, and so folks who've seen the program, they understand that they know these folks. So we're going to start with, we're going to bring in the folks from New Kent. Matt is here. He's all dressed up today too. So the last time I saw Matt, we were at the golf tournament for Richmond Tourism.
Yes,
So we were there. So Matt is going to talk a little bit about New Kent. We have Mitchell, who is from the Greater Richard Partnership. And he's a worldly figure. So, he was representing Richmond and the partnership in Germany. And he told us that on the way back, he just passed through and, stopped in Paris. So the reach for Richmond is far and wide, and it's attracting interest on a worldwide basis. Down at the end, we have Wendy, who is from my county, Henrico. We'd like to shout out to my man, Anthony Romanello. He couldn't make it, but he sent us the chant. So she is thoroughly happy to be here, not stressed at all, but we are here to talk about economic development and the importance of it. So if each of you would give a little bit, talk about your organization and what you guys are doing, and then we'll talk about some of the wins that you have, because each of you have wins. And what we talked about in the past, and Mitchell, we talked about this on the air, it's not a competition between counties. It's a lot of times it's a collaborative thing. And I think sometimes people think about that it is about, well, if it's Henrico or Chesterfield gets it, then this one doesn't get it, but it's all about bringing people to the Richmond region. So, Matt, you're a little further out. We'll start with you out in New Kent.
Okay, so yeah, New Kent, a little further up, but we're only about 15, 20 minutes from downtown.
That's Chris's.
That's right,
That's
yeah.
Chris's
Yeah,
neck of the
that's
woods.
right. That's right. We're not neighbors, but. you know,
Close enough.
Close enough. Yeah. So Matt Smolnick, Director of Economic Development. I run marketing and tourism for the county also. New Kent, small, 24,000, but 30% growth rate approximately over 10 years. So we're rolling. I run our Visitors and Commerce Center exit 211. So we're the face of the county. So that's, and a lot of people, I think there's a point, what is economic development? Is it community development or what? I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago and there was a sticker at a booth that says, yeah, I work for economic development. Yeah, nobody else knows what it means either. And that's really what we're here for, to kind of educate the listeners on what we do and what it takes to get the business. So, but really appreciate being part of this. New Kent's a special place in my mind. I've lived there, raised my family there for 10 years, worked there for 7 years, but just looking forward to being part of this panel.
All right, thank you, man.
My name is Mitchell Allen. I'm with the Greater Richmond Partnership. We're the premier economic development organization for the region. We represent 3 counties, Henrico, Chesterfield, and Hanover, as well as the city of Richmond. I'm the executive vice president there, and I just started about 6 months ago. So still new to the region, still new to the state, but now new to economic development. And our focus is really on attracting businesses to the region, and we do that through research and through marketing, and really trying to create the value proposition for why companies should be choosing the Richmond region over other markets.
And if you had to give us the elevator pitch right now for why business would move to the region, what would it be?
I would say, one, Virginia is number one for businesses overall. I would say that from a logistical perspective, we can access 75% of the U.S. population within a 2-day drive, and 2, it's just a great place to live, work, and play.
Okay. Wendy?
Hi, I'm Wendy. I'm with Henrico Economic Development, and I echo a lot of what Mitchell said because we work very closely with GRP. I work in marketing at the Henrico EDA, also help with business attraction, bring those businesses in to Henrico, a great place to live. I've lived there about 14 years, raised my kids there. Great schools, great location, and like you said, we can reach a lot of the US in a matter of a day's time. So just excited to be here.
So one of the, we talked to a lot of business owners. Obviously, I have a business show on ESPN 106.1 on Thursday morning. And I'm constantly talking to business owners, and the number one barrier that is often shared is the tax rate. The tax rate on businesses and the differences between the county, the city, New Kent County, the surrounding counties, they all have different tax rates. So, if you were kneecap to kneecap with a business owner today, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them about the outlook of the tax base in your regions, in your areas?
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, from a regional standpoint, the tax base obviously helps fund quality services, and you need those quality services to continue to attract other businesses to the region and help businesses overall, big and small, to grow. Certainly, no one likes their fair share of taxes, but at the same time, it is something that is useful because the number one challenge that companies that we're working with today is they're facing is workforce, and a lot of those dollars go back into the school system, and if we can't educate our youth of tomorrow, we're going to be that far off when it comes to the next big project that might be coming down the pipeline that is in need of workforce and in need of hundreds of thousands of employees. So it's certainly something that's needed, and I certainly understand their pain. But yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely, with a growing community such as New Kent, it's the new elementary schools, the fire stations, the police. You're experiencing that, and how is that paid for? It's paid through taxes. And the challenge is to take it off the backs of the homeowners and shift it to the businesses. At 79 cents 100, we're one of the lowest in the area. And we've kind of taken a proactive approach in the last year and a half here, where our machinery and tools tax, we really don't have a lot of industry right now. So our board of supervisors, we kind of powwowed and figured out, let's make our, we've got the lowest M&T effective rate in the Commonwealth to lure those businesses in. So I think, you know, taxes are a necessary evil. You know, nobody likes to see their taxes go up, but if you can have quality schools and you know, you can get heaven forbid, an ambulance or fire truck to your house in 3 minutes. I mean, that's what people need, and they're looking to have that. So as you're, you know, attracting those businesses in, it's quality of life also. You know, what's my ISO rating for fire and, you know, the educational program. So I mean, they need to be there, but it's really a balancing act. And that's, you know, that's one area I think we started at the top of this discussion was we're in this all together. You know, we're in it for reaching. You know, one thing that does differentiate it are the tax rates. But you know, big picture, this is a Richmond region, and we all work together quite well.
Not quite as low as New Kent, but 87 cents, so it hasn't changed in many years. You know, and our county manager and board of supervisors really look at this. Back in 2017, they reduced our tax rate significantly. But you know, like you know, he said, it's you need it for the fire departments, the you know, rescue, and just to not have the burden on the homeowners. So it's something that we watch as well, and you know, really want to help where we can, but have to understand that we have to have taxes in order to the county.
Sure, yeah, we have to. You know, one of the attracting new businesses are only a part of the equation. Encouraging small business growth in the folks that are already in your community is another piece of that equation. Can you kind of share with what your county is doing to encourage organic business growth?
Sure. So our EDA, we've got a business incentive fund. We looked at this a couple of years back, and the majority of our checks were going to Norcross, Georgia, or to Charlotte, North Carolina. So we kind of hit the pause button, you know, and re-looked at this incentive policy, and to really help out the local businesses. And I think it's, I want to say, I think 14 of the last 15 business grants have been to existing small businesses in the county. You know, people who sit in church with us, and their kids go to school together. So that's what's really, you know, that's been a big win for us. Okay. You know, you're not getting the recognition from the governor for some of these big projects, but you know, you're helping out your neighbor. Right. And I think you just sometimes need to hit that pause button and, you know, where are we focusing?
From our standpoint, we only focus on attraction. So, you know, we're not really focused on working with the small businesses. Now, although if a small business does reach out, we want to be able to point them in the right direction. But as an organization, what we have done is as we're looking to put out new contracts or proposals for either websites or you know, new services for the organization, we are putting heavier weight on businesses that are local to the Richmond and local to Virginia. So that's kind of how we're trying to support that.
Are you work? And forgive my ignorance, but do you use the SLAM certification as a criteria there or a measurement? You know, the state SLAM certification.
You know, I'm not part of the procurement aspect of it, so I don't know all the details. Okay. But I know it's part of the weighting system. So.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and to follow up on that, I mean, we have, you know, partnered with several different people and putting on how do you become SWAM certified, and work very closely with our procurement department to help businesses if they want to become SWAM certified. But the small businesses, I mean, Henrico has everything from the small mom and pop all the way up to the large Facebook. So, and for an example, during COVID, everybody kind of shifted gears and became a business retention. And we were reaching out to companies every day saying, what can we do? What do you need? Or here's this grant. How can we help you? And we just try to keep that going. We have some folks in our office who run a business first program where they have volunteers go out and talk to businesses each year and find out what do they need, what can we do to help, and that's the small businesses all the way up to the large. So we try to keep them in Henrico. We have a lot of really long-term businesses who are small businesses that are in Henrico.
You know, one of the things that we see in the news now or hear on the news nearly every day is worker shortfall or employee shortfalls or gaps. How in your mind, do we start addressing those issues? Is it a matter of temporary economic strain? Is it inflation? Is it employers need to be now more attractive to employees? Is it becoming more competitive to be an employer? So what's your kind of your thoughts on that and what you're seeing in your areas?
I don't know if you have, no, go ahead. So it's a challenge everywhere from I think from the executive level down to the guy that pulling the carts at the golf courses. I don't know if there is I don't know what the fix is. I don't think, I don't know if anybody here has got the crystal ball, but no matter where you are, it's, and the big question is, where did all these people go? I mean, they were working a year and a half ago, and now there's this huge shortage. The best thing that I think we can do is to prepare for, the next wave of students coming out of high schools, the career and technical centers, the VOTEC. I think there's been a big shift over the last, 15, 20 years of not everybody needs to go to college to get a bachelor's degree. There's wonderful opportunities out there where you can have a wonderful living for your family. So that's, I think, helping to address, the next 5 to 10 years that's coming on, but, the immediate fix, that's the $1 million question.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I was hoping somebody here had $1 million.
I don't have the $1 million answer, I wish I did.
Well,
but
somebody got a
it's-
$50 answer.
It's the same thing, and I mean, we hear it from companies every day of, we're just having a shortage. We try to help them out. We try to, like you said, CTE centers, we'll put them in touch with them, depending on what they're looking for. We work with VCU. We just try to make the connections, but it's really difficult right now. And I'm sure, Mitchell, you're seeing the same.
And it's not specific to Virginia or specific to Richmond. It's throughout the US. It's just hard to find people to fill some of these vacant jobs. It is a challenge. The only thing I would add to that is I think that there are reports that 1.8 to 2 million women left the workforce, and to be home with their kids in order to have them learn online. And until we can get over the COVID hump, it's going to be difficult for us to get those women back into the workforce or caregivers back into the workforce. When there's a COVID outbreak at school and they're forced to be home again for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever.
And I think too, you have so many employers, large employers who are offering work from home, and everybody thinks that sounds great. So they're looking for those types of jobs and maybe not, going to some of the other companies that don't offer that.
So it may be a situation where work is being done is just changing. And because of that, employment is portable now. It's not anchored on your physical office location. My business, I don't have an office, and it keeps my overhead very, very low. And my folks can work from the comfort of their home, or they go downtown to one of the shared workspaces if they just want to get out of the house. Those folks that are finding portable employment, but that still leaves, and I know we don't have a good answer today, that still leaves those needs for small businesses who have employees that must come to work. I saw an ad for a automotive technician, $6,000 signing bonus, $20 an hour, free tools after you're trained, and this is no experience, no really prerequisite for education. It is tough. So the businesses that require folks to show up every day are now competing with a market that they've never had to compete with before.
That's exactly.
And they now have to kind of figure out how to make themselves more attractive. And it doesn't appear to be just money, because people are offering these huge incentives and people are still not showing up. So it's going to be, the next few years are going to be very interesting. And when we talk about the business tax rate, and then we also talk about the property tax rate, with the portability of employment growing, do you see, or is there any chatter, so to speak, about lowering residential property tax rates, understanding that now business employment is more portable. So now you are competing for both the businesses to move in, but also now the portable employee who can choose to live wherever they want. Is there,
I've not heard anything.
okay,
Neither.
that's interesting because that's a very significant shift in how people are working these days. And are we doing ourselves and our counties a disservice by not looking at attractability to new residents as well as new businesses, understanding that more businesses are going portable? So one of the issues, so I don't know how to start that conversation, but I think that's maybe a conversation that we should look at. I talked to a lot of business owners and they're just struggling. The ones who aren't struggling are the ones who have portable positions. So it's an interesting thing that's just kind of cropped up in the last couple of years. So
And I think it's, you've got this 2 years of individuals who are just getting into the workforce. That's all they know.
yeah,
So, looking at the group here, we've been in the workforce for a number of years. We know what it's like to sit in an office or, come to work every single day. Because you've got how many thousands and thousands of grads. That's all they know.
Yeah.
So to convince them to come to a place where you have to physically be there for 40, 50 hours a week, it's a challenge. It's definitely changed the dynamic of the workforce these last 2 years.
Well, it kind of goes back to attracting those individuals. It requires a stickiness to the community, something that holds them here. And in order to do that, you need to have great amenities as well as great services, which goes back to the taxes. So,
yeah. So it's going to be an interesting, particularly at the local level, how our economic development folks going to view that workspace portability and balance the attraction of new business to your area, because you got to have both. And I live in New Kent County. But apparently I live on the wrong side of the tracks. And what I mean by that is, on my side of the tracks, I don't have broadband internet. 200 feet away, they do, because there happens to be a railroad track running parallel to 60. And apparently it's very expensive to bring it to my side of the track, not so much. But when I was started looking for a home, that I don't have school-age kids, so I was interested in how good the Newton County schools were, and they're good, just in case I end up with grandkids at the house for a long term, But one of the things, and I almost didn't move to New Kent, was because of the broadband issue. And as I've talked to businesses around Richmond, it's not just the rural areas that don't have broadband. And in a way, I think that also prevents small businesses from being competitive, because you can't get a good connection and you can't operate at a competitive speed with other businesses. And I know the current administration is putting a lot of funding into broadband increasing, but I'd like to hear about how your regions and counties are using that additional funding right now for broadband services to service your residents.
Sure. So yeah, being in a rural area, it's very difficult, even with some of the providers who are there. It's a struggle to get them to provide service to a business that they're right in front of. So the County Board of Supervisors have undergone our broadband study, what it's going to take to get fiber to every home. Price tag, I think it's right at 50 million. Provider will cover half that. We're blessed to have Colonial Downs funds coming in, and we've got VATI grants. I think we're going to get from the VATI grants in November. So Colonial Downs funds plus the VATI grants, that's going to kick off to construct the fiber rings to get it. So eventually, every home in New Kent County will have high-speed internet, because it's been tough. Even 6 years ago when I first came there, business owners, Matt, I'm at $800, $900 a month just to run my business from my home. So it is a struggle. Matt, we're gonna get 5G. We're not getting 5G. So it's part of those growing pains. But, I think our local administration, board of supervisors have been progressive, yeah, with this latest study, we're taking the steps to provide, it's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And that's what we realized over the last couple of years.
And with the kids potentially being in and out of school for COVID, there's projections that they're now a year behind. And not having the high-speed internet is making that worse. So, I'm glad to hear that New Kent seems to have a handle on that, because I have a small business there, and quite frankly, I have to drive 40 minutes to get to a place where I can sit down and use high-speed internet. So, if I was to try and grow my business, I couldn't do it in New Kent. Because it doesn't have the infrastructure right now to do it.
In your part of
In my part of
in your
New
part
Kent,
of
yeah.
right.
So, that leaves me with a good tax base, but potentially not having the infrastructure that I could support my business. But I'm glad there's solutions coming.
Right, and then the areas we do target for industrial and commercial growth, the high-speed internet is there.
Right.
Just not on the rural areas.
Yeah.
And from our standpoint, our localities are actually working through that at a local level, but we're in full support of having high-speed internet for all, because in reality it is a necessity, just like water and electricity these days, not only for adult workers, but for the youth that are looking to continue to learn or are forced to learn through a kind of a virtual modality. So at the end of the day, it's extremely important for not only Virginia, but for the communities that we represent to have broadband internet, or at least the access to it.
Riker isn't quite as rural, so I mean, I can't say, I'm sure there are parts of Riker that does not have, what they need, but for the most part, I think we're doing okay. During COVID, when the kids were out of school, if anybody did not have the internet at their house for whatever reason, the county did a very good job of providing different tools for the kids, whether it was it's a mobile hotspot or whatever. But just like Mitchell said, we definitely know there are issues, and trying to work with GRP and other state organizations to make sure that everybody in America does have what they need to have.
So the next question, you can feel free to say pass, and we'll edit it out. On the ballot this, I guess next week, right, is the one casino, and that is potentially a huge business, but it's not viewed equally, right? So if you're Colonial Downs and Rosie's, how does that impact you? What, just from a development standpoint, what's your thoughts on the one?
I've been working, I was on the radio this morning out of Amherst, but there's a referendum in Amherst and in Port also for Rosie's locations. I've been working with this group since 2017, hands down, probably the finest group I've ever met. How that's going to impact us, because obviously those casinos will take revenue away from the HHR facilities. That's why two sessions ago it was, for every referendum they got passed, was an additional 600 HHR machines for the Colonial Downs and Rosie's group. Now they're partnered with one, but the other locations are separate. So I think, there will be an impact, on the funds coming to New Kent, but with the additional 2,600 machines that are coming online, I think we'll be fine. And really, people who are visiting these types of venues, going out of state. When they go out of state, they spend the nights in the hotels, they pay for the Uber, pay for the meals and the drinks. Let's keep it here in Virginia. Right. So it's a draw. It's really a draw to the Richmond area. And us being, anybody, 30 minutes away from this casino should be approved and ultimately constructed. There's definitely, you can look at the revenue from that specific casino. Now, can you track how did those people come out to the wineries, play rounds of golf? It's harder to track that, but there's all that spin-off business that will come from it. I think it's going to impact us all.
GRP hasn't taken a formal stance on the casino itself, but I do think that anytime there's new development, more revenues coming in, that adds to the amenities that a city or community can offer, especially when you have folks coming in, but hopefully from out of town. Those are dollars that might be one time, but they're still coming in that are not being spent in the city or state that they're originally from. So.
I really don't have anything to add. I mean, if you have people come into the region for that, I mean, it just helps the region overall. We've got hotels, you've got meals, you've got, all of it that's going to help the region. So I don't have a lot to add.
So I've asked a couple of tougher questions, but
Here's a softball.
those are my softball questions. Are you guys ready to get the hard ones down? So you guys, please take a couple minutes. Some tips for our listeners on, hey, do this today to help your community be more attractive to small businesses and families to move to your area. If you were to go in someone's living room and say, here's something you can do right now to make our community better and more attractive for growth, what would those things be?
I can start off. I would say one, shop local. It's important that dollars that are being gained in the community, that get spent in the community, that they get recycled back through. And then the second piece is talk positively about where you live to anyone you meet. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a community in a cab or in an Uber, and I ask, or I ask the concierge, and can I go here? What do you think about this place? And when I get a negative response, it leaves a negative impression on me. The folks in the community are the best people for the community, and in order to provide that positive impression for folks that are out of town or thinking about making a move or thinking about expanding or relocating their business to the region, it's important that they're hearing a positive story from locals. So
I agree with that. And I think if you are a small business owner or you've just started a business in the region, in our county, let us know. Reach out to the Economic Development Department. We'd love to know that you're here. We'd love to say hello. I ran into somebody at the PGA event this weekend. She's like, oh, my business just moved to Henrico. So things like that, just, let us know you're there so we can come by, we can say hello, we can check on you from time to time, make sure you're okay. Let us know what you love about Henrico. Like we said, we've got great things here. We've got the Capitol Trail, we've got the river. There's a lot of outdoor sports that we love to know that you love that about your region and your area.
Yeah, I think you guys just hit the nail on the head there. We run a New Kent University for citizens. They learn about all the different departments. And as they were departing my visitor center a couple of Saturdays ago, I said, you 15 people are now my newest ambassadors. You are the ones who are going to get out there and help spread the word. And as I talk to the high school students, watch what you say on social media. Watch what you say about the community, because those decision makers, they're watching that. And then you're right, they're in their community, 3 or 4 times before they pick up the phone, just to get a feel for the community, and have pride in the community. This is where we live. So that's I think you guys hit the nail on the head. But every citizen, you guys are ambassadors to the community, and if you're wanting these services to come in, think about how your actions would impact those decision makers.
So you're an ambassador whether you intend to be or not.
Right? Yes. And really, we're salesmen. We're traveling salesmen.
Right.
As we go on a plane and fly the country, and the elevator pitch or the 30-minute talk to the board, we're salesmen trying to sell a county and our quality of life.
So we're running down on time here, so I think we got about 10 minutes. But real quick, tell us how we can get get in contact with you.
Sure. So for New Kent, I'm at the Visitors and Commerce Center right north of exit 211. We have a big love sign out front. Love sign, I don't know how many people visit that all on the corner there. I always look out to see people taking pictures of the love sign. But we've got a couple for economic development, yesnewkent.com, visitnewkent.com for our tourism. And just stopping by to see me. I'll tell you, 966-9631 is our number. And I love to meet people. There's never a day I don't like to meet somebody new, business owners, citizens, residents, as they come in and just give my business card. If you've got a question about something, please call me. I just love the daily interaction. But come check us out. Again, exit 211, New Kent County Visitors and Commerce Center, yesnewkent.com or visit New Kent.
And from our standpoint, we're in downtown Richmond, but we're in the process of moving buildings, and that hasn't formally been announced, but you can.
Uh-oh, you heard it.
Yes, it
Yeah, not the actual address, but but you can always find us at grpva.com. Our contact information is on there. My info's on there. I'm always happy to take a call and see how I can help. And if I can't help, I'm sure I know someone who can, and we'll be more than happy to point folks in the right direction.
Okay.
And we are on Parham Road, directly across the street from the government center, so not in with them, but across the street behind Hermitage High. Henrico.com is our website. You can also ask questions or, send suggestions to info@henrico.com. And in touch with us.
Okay, now, the last, this one's gonna be the creative question, okay? Tell us something about your community that is just overlooked. That's great, but just overlooked by a lot of people. Uh-oh.
For us, and I know Mitchell will know what I'm talking about. Well, I know Mitchell will know what I'm talking about here. So out at White Oak Tech Park, which the EDA owns at one of our data centers, QTS, we have the Richmond NAP. It's a network access point. Subsea cables come in Virginia Beach. The next landing point is the NAP. So super fast internet. I have to get you somehow.
I just wanted to.
We're across the road track.
So it's kind of our, a secret that we don't want to be a secret. It's great for businesses,
So we
super
don't like to keep
fast,
secrets.
super fast speeds. You can go across the ocean, you can go up to Northern Virginia to Data Center Alley and like a matter of seconds. In the blink of an eye, I will use Anthony's term since he could not be here today, but in a blink of an eye, you can transport the entire Library of Congress across the ocean to Spain and back.
Nice.
So that's my best kept secret.
There you go.
I don't want it to be a secret.
Nice the internet.
From my standpoint, because we do represent 4 communities, I'll just point out the city of Richmond specifically. Something that's unique, that they've got a great wet lab and dry lab space for companies that are in the biosciences, life sciences industry. There's not a lot of that space throughout the US, with the exception of concentrated areas on the East Coast and the West Coast, to specific markets. It is something that I think doesn't get a lot of play, and we're certainly looking to continue to attract businesses in that arena.
What kind of business would be interested in that space?
It could be a company doing some sort of new pharmaceutical testing, or some sort of hardware, like breathalyzer test that monitors enzymes in your breath, that determines whether you're pre-diabetic or something along those nature. So it's really for scientists that are coming in that are trying to utilize and do something kind of unique through a research and development process.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, but why you can't? Attractively 7 years ago, train hadn't left the station yet. We're still building. But in that building process, we've realized what we've got right now, and we're preserving it, we're protecting it. Be it the state forest, the nature conservancy, the 2 wildlife management areas that are in the 4 miles of riverfront on the Brook River. That's a secret that not a lot of people know. And once you build something, when you cut those trees down and you build something, you lose that forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going ahead and we're preserving that, protecting that. I don't know, I'm a member of St. Peter's Church, George Martha Washington got there. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but we've got some of those hidden assets that you can protect now, plan for the future, develop later on, and still enjoy state of the art. Is it DCs, bioscience, and entertainment, and then still have the what Mother Nature gave us.
Right.
So I think that's really what attracted me to UCANT 7 years ago. I said, train hadn't left the station yet, let's get it right.
Right. Yeah, I moved to New Kent because it was 35 minutes to Williamsburg, 35 minutes to downtown. Taxes were low, and if you use your imagination, plenty of stuff to do. So yeah, I think New Kent Bottoms Bridge is growing fast towards New Kent. So I always thought New Kent was going to be a bedroom community, honestly, rather than a business center. But I hope that's not right.
No, it's 2 of 5 is going to be, it's market driven.
Yeah.
Bottoms Bridge is 15 minutes from downtown.
Yeah.
Shackleford Bridge. So yeah,
Lots of new construction going on there on 60.
that's right.
So, I don't know, this may not be relevant for the radio, but I just thought I'd talk about it anyway. With that new construction, comes new schools, comes a whole bunch of services and costs that will come to the area. But kind of what I'm curious about is as that expansion, and you may know a little bit more about this because you've been in markets that have expanded and grown over time. As Bottoms Bridge is expanding towards New Kent, who kind of handles and coordinates that growth and when it happens and where it happens? Because you have 60, 64, and then Bottoms Bridge, New Kent, in that corridor there. Who manages that encroachment's not the right word, but that growth towards New Kent from Henrico, from Henrico's right there. And how does that growth get planned out?
I think we are a region, but those municipal lines do act as barriers when it comes to codes. I think really local codes, drive a lot of development. Land use. I'm a reform planner. 15 years planning. So you understand that's really what drives, development's going to follow land use, water, and sewer. And development's coming. So while I can have the workforce go back and forth across those lines, the guidance is really directed by a city council or county board of supervisors, and really what's the letter of the law in the zoning ordinance. So I think there is that. This is one time where there is a fine line and there's a stopping point. Coming either going west or east. That's really anywhere. But everything's market driven, and we are seeing that push. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. Yeah. No, it does. So what I'm hearing is basically kind of hinges on the preparedness of your infrastructure.
That's right.
And the code that surrounds that infrastructure being prepared, and maintenance and cost. And
what's your land use
Yeah.
for rezonings, and what is the property zone, and all the other utilities that are in place.
interesting. All right. Well, we are about out of time. So if you could real quick, just let us know again how we can get in touch with you.
Oh, yeah. Again, Mitchell Allen with the Greater Richmond Partnership. Our website is grpva.com.
Wendy Miller with Henrico EDA, and website is henrico.com.
All right.
And Matt Smolnick with New Kent, yesnewkent.com, or visit newkent.com for our tours and maps.
All right. Well, thank you. This will be we're good.
Okay.
This will be aired not next week, but the following week, Monday and Tuesday. So